Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm Cody. He is Andy. It is actually Tuesday morning, the 30th of January, 9:15 Central Time, 10:15 Eastern Time. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had to do my, because January's a day that, or a month that has 31 days. You know, like the trick to know what month is back in the 31 day month.
A rhyme or something?
I don't know about a rhyme, but this is how I do it. So you have on your knuckles, each time you tap a knuckle, it's a 31-day month. So you like this, watch. You ready? Because there's a trick involved. So it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. You tap it twice. September, October, November, December. Each time you tap a knuckle, it's a 31-day month. And each time you don't, it's a 30-day month.
That's wild.
It's just like your whole mind just got blown right there. Each time you tap a knuckle, 31-day month. Just do the double up.
You get nothing else from our channel. At least you know how to count the 31 days of the year.
That's it. Speaking of learning, we've got a
dose.
We have
Spanish for
requests.
Two requests.
Right?
Spanish. So Kyle from Michigan wants to see April natural gas. And then our boy Steve from Idaho wants to look at October Class 4. So
we're going to start with Kyle.
That's right. His comment to me, his question was, does it look like we are bottoming out at $2 again in April nat gas?
Well, we haven't gotten into $2 yet, right? So, you've got, here's another one too. Let's just draw this one for kicks. So right there, right? And so it seems like you're attempting to try to put in a higher low, or I guess on a higher low on the momentum piece of it, not so much on the actual chart itself, right? Because yesterday, no Gouda. I don't necessarily feel like this is something that's just going to just turn right back around. So we're going to look at the cheese chart here in a second, but that looks somewhat similar is why I bring it up. But this is still more or less in play, right? This downtrend. So it's tough to say that this thing is just going to, rip higher.
Yeah.
Nat gas, it's a widowmaker, right? I mean, it's a wicked market. I think that's the official nickname, widowmaker. So I guess the only thing that would make me a little bit nervous if I was short is that you've got this guy that's the momentum is starting to at least try to fail to put in a new low, it's a sign that the weakness in the market, the rate of change is slowing, right? And then, the stochastic it crossed here and hasn't looked back. If you get this blue line, the fast one across over the slow one, then that's another indication that things may be starting to turn. But I'd say the biggest one would be if you broke this downtrend.
That's kind of what I had drawn on my chart also when I was looking at the RSI, and we haven't really dropped below that blue line on the RSI, except for going back into December of last year?
Yeah. So I see the argument or the attempt at it, I guess. But again, that was yesterday's close through this low, technically, right? And then you're not getting the best. Ideally, you'd want to see an open lower if you want to continue the trend. You're not getting that, but it's starting to kind of creep lower. So to me, I think you got to break through this downtrend before you say it's time to get off.
I think the other interesting argument would be on a monthly. Looking at it that way, we haven't settled below. We've touched below $2, but we haven't settled there in years. Right, you've got to go back to 2020 before that's happened.
2020. How about that, Jack? Not that long. Look at this: $2 to nearly 10. Oh
exactly.
My gosh!
And every time we do go below $2, to your point, we don't stay there very long. It becomes a volatile market at that price.
Yeah, sure. Definitely want to be careful here, right? You're starting to, like we said earlier, you're starting to get some indicators that are showing, at least on the daily side, that things up to the downside are starting to slow down. I think you got to get a better confirmation before you want to switch and get long, I guess is my point. And I think the big one would be this downtrend being broken.
Here we go.
We'll see. So we had a very specific month, not just class four, but October of 2024, class 4 was the specific request.
October of class 4 was the specific request. Also, specific question, what are the chances you guys see October class 4 hitting $21?
Trading $21?
Very specific.
I don't see why not. It's another 20 cents from here. Butter is, on a rampage, and non-fat seems to be catching a little bit of a bid too.
Butter up about half the cent right now.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing really stopping. There's no areas of resistance. There's nothing technical about it that just shows that hey, this thing needs to just roll over. In fact, it's still only about 9:30, so there's still plenty of time left in the day. But if this is going to be the way this candle settles, that's a hammer. Right. And that's a sign of continued strength, at least, right? Because you attempted to if you just kind of blow this up a little bit.
Looks like this. Let's put it side by side.
There it is, right there. Bam.
Doji,
I think sweet.
hammer.
Yeah, and like what's interesting about it too is that you attempted to engulf yesterday's trade, right? Gapped, tried to engulf the trade, couldn't do it. It's still early. This could still be if we settle back on today's low. What is that? Today's low of 2060. Again, it's not that big of a range, right? It's 20 cents. We've already done that in Fed Class 3 today, I think. So like that to me is a signal that you want to like this, that we're heading back probably into this noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing really technical that's saying like it has to just roll over. So I'd be a little bit more inclined to be, I guess I'll say like it sure feels like it could go trade $21. A lot of time left. I mean, who knows where it's going to settle? It sure is acting like it's going to go trade 21 bucks.
There you go. Ask and you shall receive, my friends.
Ask and you shall receive. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. I tend to agree. Like you said, it's only 20 cents away. Butter, non-fat, I kind of been leading the charge the past couple of days. We're not trying to guess where it's going to settle by any stretch of the imagination. But if I was going to higher, lower to touch $21, I would say, yeah, it's probably going to.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. You heard it here first from Cody. Speaking of, I know we're going a little out of sequence, but let's talk about butter real fast since we're on that class 4 train. So IDFA, we end IDFA, and butter just rips, for better or for worse, right?
Correct.
And it was in this. It's kind of reminiscent of when we just kind of danced along this tight range here, and then just took off.
Mm-hmm.
We drew this last week.
Correct. There you go.
Right
Put
there.
that gap in there.
Put that bad boy back in there. There we go. Now we're talking gap chasers.
Mm-hmm.
Courtesy. So I was in the office yesterday. Kevin Peterson was talking about gap chasing.
If they're there,
so
they're like Pokemon. You got to catch them all.
Yep. you sure do. All right. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know how you follow up on that. So let's just go. Let's just finish this thing up here since we can't follow up on it. So cheese. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this one last week too. I mean, this was last week's close. It's a weekly of the CME Average cheese. This was last week's close at $1.50. And yesterday, pretty big day, but again, higher low, got out of this downtrend and then gapped higher yesterday to start the week. So this, I mean, here's another little one right here.
I see it.
Another Pokemon right here.
And I think you had mentioned this internally at $1.80. And where does that gap kind of sit?
Well, you think about like some of the trade that we've seen in like February here, right? I mean, check out Bases Loaded, by the way, to learn more about that. But the Fed contract is on its third week of pricing, and it's acting like, well, I mean, where's it at now? Since we started the show, we're a little lower, just a smidge. But still, I mean, you have to continue to rally G's to justify that price or get some substantial basis in for the first couple of weeks, right? More than what we've seen here. But this little gap, I mean, it's out there acting. It's February, certainly still a little perky here. And futures, when you go out to like, some of these deferred months are saying that that's where we're going to go anyways,
right.
Up and around that level. It's also a price point where the rest of the world seems to be, when you start talking about like Oceania and Europe and, our insights team puts out a lot of good stuff on that. So go check out some of that too, the fundamental stuff. But, to me, again, that gap sticks out. The Pokemon comment I just keep going back to. It's just like, who's your favorite Pokemon, by the way?
Do you have a favorite Pokemon? I've never seen nor played or listened to Pokemon. During COVID, I saw everybody chasing them around in Chicago, and I was like, what are these people doing? And then I found out, and I said, it applies to a lot of things in life, right? You got to catch them all.
I guess what else does it apply to in life, like other than gaps? Like,
wow, that's a conversation.
It's a conversation for another day. This coming from the guy that has like one fork, 2 spoons.
Hey, it is what it is.
You have more shovels than you do like silverware.
Exactly. Priorities.
It's priorities. That's right. Like, I guess like the closing on this chart, like I said, this gap, it's out there. I think you have to be more like the fact that we've broken through this downtrend. We got the momentum that's starting to turn. You've got some of these secondary indicators that are acting like the market can continue to go up. And yesterday's cash session was just strong like bull. I mean, like and
it seems very reminiscent of last year. If you go, that big green candle is July 2023. I mean, look at the downtrend that we were in, and all of a sudden July it just ripped higher. It's very reminiscent of exactly what happened last year.
Sure.
Right.
For sure. And if I remember right too, like, the rest of the world, we were substantially lower from the rest of the world. And even like our futures curve got discount to the rest of the world too. And so our ability to export just became that much better during that time. And then we just ripped. Right. And so I guess that's, part of the argument is a lot of that same, at least price action. Obviously fundamentals can be different year to year, but the price action is certainly acting the same, right? Stay cheap for long enough, get the futures low enough to where we're discount, and then you take off when some business gets done. So it certainly is acting like it's got some potential to it. And you got this gap up there that you can go. I mean, and there's nothing that says the futures can't trade a discount to the cheese just having like a blow off top and go and filling that gap.
That is true.
That's certainly possible.
That's true.
But
Good point.
yeah, I mean, that chart is, again, it's only Tuesday, right? And you've already had a nice big gap. But again, going back to, you got to catch them all, right?
You got to catch them all.
You've created this one
I
now.
know. It's a dangerous game.
Yeah. So you've created that one now to go be mindful of. So, but yeah, like that's certainly got the momentum, especially with the rest of the complex too. Like we just looked at for class 4, the rest of them, we got some momentum there too. So We'll see. Maybe we'll be limited down today. Who knows?
Time will tell.
Who knows? By the way, so if I remember correctly, when we did our Jaskell episode back in 2022, I think, but I'm almost positive that he ended that show with, we asked him when the next time he was going to be on. He said, I'll see you in 2023.
Yeah, you'll see me in 2023.
Never happened.
Never.
So that's okay. It's in the past.
We're still waiting.
I think we may have to start the Jaskell countdown here pretty soon, or whatever that is. Just like, how many days does it take for Jaskell to show up on the show? Maybe we'll have people start texting him or something like that. But we're going to need him back. I feel like it's like the summer of George. We need to have Jaskell back on the show.
I agree.
So this is 2024. It's like it's our life goals here. Some people try to, people have different New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. Tech Talks is going to get some guests. I'm going to get Joe or Jaskell. Maybe Joe too.
Hey,
look at all the J's. Look at all the J's.
Speaking of things that we were trying to do here on Tech Talking as a company, we are trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We are not quite that close. We're a little bit over 1,000. So if everyone would please like, share, comment on this, be a friend, tell a friend, all your family members, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And check out, our company's kind of like Pokemon Go. Catch all the YouTube videos that Paige puts out. Go watch them all. Check them all out. Subscribe. Help us get to this goal. Very lofty, but we think we can definitely do it. Also, big shout out to Kyle and Steve for the charts today, writing in for those. And we'd like to see more of those going forward. Maybe we'll even have someone, Jaskell and Joe, get on the show. That'd be great.
How about that?
That'd be awesome.
We should do that.
It'd be awesome. But until then, everybody, we appreciate you watching, tuning in. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of Tech Talk.